last night I went out with a couple friends and we were sitting outside watching a concert, and we were just talking about how men never approach women. And I get it, it's nerve wracking, it's uncomfortable, it could be like severe rejection, all these things, but it's frustrating when it feels like women have to do all of the work. So there was a couple guys that were clearly looking at us, and we decided to do a little experiment. So one of my friends, she went to the bathroom, and on her way back, she decided to stand like 10 feet from them. She's not going to approach them, but she's going to stand 10 feet from them all alone. And you're talking outdoors, concert. And she is just, in fact, I forgot that she was doing this experiment, and the look on her face looked like she was lost. So I was like, hey, we're over here. But I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this experiment. So she definitely looked approachable, almost looked like she needed help. And then she was just casually enjoying the music, even looks back at them. All the while, my other friend and I are watching, and these guys are like gawking at her, just nonstop staring at her. And she stands there for at least 10 minutes doing this dancing and within 10 feet. And not once did they approach her. Not once did they even attempt to. And she walks then by them and around to come back to us, and they are just gawking, staring at her as she walks back. So as we get up to leave for the night, we walk literally within 2 inches of them, right in front of them, and not one says a thing. Mind you, when she came back from the bathroom, she did get approached by four men that were like 65, because I feel like that the men of that age and genre, that they just know how to approach women. They just know, like, that's in their DNA. And somewhere along the lines it's gotten lost. And we were sitting there observing, and there was only one girl that was really talking to a few men, and every single time she was approaching them. So what is it? Like, what do women need to do to be approachable? We thought, okay, we're sitting in a group of three, that can be intimidating. So she went out on her own, stood 10 feet, even did a little glance at them, was standing all alone, and still nothing. Like, what do women need to do to be approachable for?
This is a layered answer because she told a long story, and I think that there's several different contributing factors that then affect what's going on in the market and whether or not people are approaching women. And I don't even look at it just from a dating perspective or anything like that. I just think that it's humans in general. I mean, going out, networking, having conversations. We've changed so much as a society, and there are so many different things that go into why people are the way that they are. Number one, I think that the thing that we have to do first is take accountability for the fact that women have created this environment where men have to be very, very cautious about how they deal with, talk to, interact with, because we know too much. We've seen too much. We've seen too many people get accused of things. Women have basically advocated for equal, and so now they are basically men, and they show aggression. They show, all of these different factors and things that women have created as far as the environment that men have to exist in that then contribute to whether or not you getting approached. That's number one. Number two, I believe that social media has contributed to the inability to communicate effectively in person. I tell people all the time, you need to get outside, you know, talk to people, network, and they say, "Oh man, you got to get outside to just go talk to people while you outside." And I'm like, I get confused. It's like, okay, so wait a minute. Me telling you to go outside and be outside and interacting with people automatically means that you got to go and talk to them. No, I mean, ain't that what you? And it's like, it's a gulf. It's a huge river between you understanding that being outside and being personable and having conversations ultimately yield you the best results, not just when it comes to dating, but also opportunities, business, professional, networking, having great times in life, making more friends. Like, but people are so used to only shooting a shot on DM or spending the majority of the time in their phone. And so they haven't cultivated that part of their personality in which we were forced to, because we were forced to be outside from the time that we, you know, came out of our mother's womb, in which we couldn't really go out unless, we couldn't come back in until the street lights was on. See, it was different for us. We couldn't come back in the house. Like, once you go outside, don't come back in unless you're willing to stay there. And that was the rules. And so you learned how to navigate and go through life without having to worry about somebody always babying you, or when you fail, or oh man, you got into a confrontation. You learned those things very early, and you just continue to nurture that, which then, in my opinion, has given us an advantage as people that are over 40 or that was born in the 80s and below, because we know how, and we have no fear meeting people, communicating, and all of that. And there's always going to be some people that are awkward, and they just didn't want to go outside. But if you take those two contributing factors alone, the fact that the environment has changed in which women are no longer approachable in the same way that they used to, and on top of that, the fact that we have a society that has now been trained to be outside of the reality and only live within this metaverse we call the internet and social media, now that factors into it. Three, women are just gonna have to start shooting their shots. You gonna have to go for what you want, because closed mouths is not gonna get fed anymore. Guys ain't tripping off of y'all. They ain't stunting you. They ain't desperate for you. And a lot of guys got options, and more importantly, they can look, have fun, and ain't even tripping about not touching, because they also understand that, you're not really the prize also. And so I think that a lot of women overinflate the value that they have, and that they think that they can operate in a modern society, but then, you know, do what they want to do, but then still hold these traditional values, as though we don't see the difference between y'all. And I don't think it has anything to do with intimidation. Maybe it does. Who knows? And those older guys that she described, I just don't think that they give a fuck. And so as a result, they just say and do whatever it is that they want to do. Kind of remind me, of older grandparents and stuff. It's like the older you get, the less you care, because you just don't, you gonna leave it all on the flow, and we just gonna have fun, and we gonna live every day like our last, because we value what life really means and what life is. And so even me myself, like, the older I get, the less I give a fuck, the more I lean more into the things that means the most to me. And I just go out and I have fun. I don't even vlog anymore. Outside, I've stopped probably within a week or 2 weeks ago, and I don't even plan on vlogging anymore. And let me not say I'm never gonna do it again, but I don't even vlog anymore, because what I do when giving my thoughts on social media, I actually think that I've done enough to substantiate who I am and what my personality is and what my real life is like, and so I don't feel the need to. And so I like to be immersed in what's going on in popular culture in real life. In real life, I don't bring my camera out. I don't do none of that. I just have a good time. I went to SneakerCon yesterday. I interacted with people, and I left it on the flow. You know what I'm saying? So my point is I think that there are so many different factors that contribute to the fact that men are no longer feeling compelled in order to go up to you. Train not to. You've created an environment that make it a little bit more hostile to approach you. And we're different. It's a different space, a different time. People prefer to send DMs because they feel like it's also less rejection. And also, you just might not be that girl. Ain't nobody tripping off you. You know what I'm saying? But, people can go out and they can trip, and they ain't even tripping off of you. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you or anything is wrong with them. They just don't care anymore. People are less likely to do things that is not meaningful to them, or why should they risk rejection when the alternative is just having fun and going home and not even thinking twice about you tomorrow? But I'm curious as to what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.